Hi there, my name is Sam from Versus.com. It is time for another smartphone comparison. This time we are comparing the Oppo Find X3 Pro with the iPhone 12 Pro Max. We are comparing both in terms of display, performance, camera, design and battery. Stay tuned and find out which phone is coming out on top in this video. If you'd like to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Let's start straight away with our review. Let the facts speak. Display. The Oppo Find X3 Pro has a 6.7-inch display, which measures 17.02 cm diagonally and has a resolution of 1440p. Its AMOLED screen creates very natural colors and has a pixel density of 525 ppi. It features a refresh rate of 120 Hz and a peak brightness of 1300 nits. Sounds very convincing so far. Let's have a look at the iPhone now. The iPhone 12 Pro Max has a 6.7-inch display with a 1284p resolution. The 6.7-inch display therefore measures 17 cm diagonally with a pixel density of 458 ppi. The iPhone's OLED screen creates as usual very natural colors. The refresh rate on the iPhone 12 Pro Max is 60 Hz. Besides its size, the iPhone can't really compete with the Oppo. The Find X3 Pro has clearly advantages in terms of resolution, pixel density and most crucial, the refresh rate, where the iPhone is lacking today's standard of 120 Hz, which the Oppo offers. The first point for the Find X3 Pro. Camera. The Oppo Find X3 Pro has a quad rear camera system. It features a 50 megapixel wide angle, a 50 megapixel ultra wide angle, a 13 megapixel telephoto and a 3 megapixel micro lens camera. Its front camera has a resolution of 32 megapixel. The X3 Pro records 4K videos at a maximum of 60 frames per second. And of course it has optical image stabilization. Sounds like a really decent camera system. It will be interesting to see how it performs compared to the iPhone. First though, the iPhone specs. The iPhone 12 Pro Max has a triple rear camera system. It features a 12 megapixel ultra-wide, a 12 megapixel wide and a 12 megapixel telephoto camera. The front's camera resolution is also 12 megapixel. The iPhone 12 Pro Max records 4K videos at a maximum of 60 frames per second. And of course it has image stabilization for video. The 12 Pro Max also has a sensor shift optical image stabilization for its wide angle camera. Both phones have good camera systems, but which one is actually the better system? Let's take it to our camera test and let's find out which one does a better job. As always, we first take a look at the pictures taken on both in daylight conditions. The first thing you'll notice is that the iPhone is noticeably brighter than the Oppo. This detail will accompany us through the whole comparison. Besides that, the Oppo has a bit more grain and softer edges, but overall both take great and sharp pictures. In nighttime conditions, things are a little different. At first, the only notable difference is again the brightness on the iPhone. But zooming in, the advantages of the iPhone and the flaws of the Oppo really show. The iPhone again creates very sharp pictures with great detail, whereas the Find X3 Pro produces pure mesh with almost no contours. Moving on to the front camera. You have to say that both create good pictures, but the iPhone performs better due to higher contrast and saturation. Also, Apple's warmer color temperature is more pleasing on the face. The iPhone 12 Pro Max has a 5-fold optical and a 12-fold digital zoom feature. The Find X3 Pro on the other hand has a 5x hybrid optical zoom and a 20x digital zoom. Okay, so far so good. Now let's switch from photo feature to the video feature to find out which of these two phones takes better videos. What you can see and hear is the quality of Apple's iPhone 12 Pro Max video recording. We set it to the highest possible video quality. Let's see what the competitor sounds and looks like. What you can see and hear is the quality of Oppo Find X3 Pro's video recording. We set it to the highest possible quality. Let's see what the competitor sounds and looks like. Both have pretty good sound quality. The iPhone sound is just a little bit richer. Both also create good sharpness and have lots of details, but the iPhone shines again with its higher saturation and contrast. Although shining is also its main problem, since it is way too bright. Let's crop in a bit in post to see how that looks like. As you can see, both look pixelated when cropped in. And the two different color temperatures become really obvious. In terms of sharpness, they don't differ that much. Both are able to shoot slow motion videos in Full HD with up to 240 frames per second. But the Oppo is also able to shoot 480 frames per second and 720p. In general, Oppo produced a decent camera system for its Find X3 Pro. Especially the daytime pictures with the main lens were good. But you have to admit that in terms of photography, it was no real match for the iPhone 12 Pro Max. It outperformed the Oppo in terms of nighttime photography and with the front camera. Although the iPhone also has its flaws in video recording. At least in the conditions that we tested. The video recording looked better on Oppo's device. On the other hand, the Oppo also has some gimmicks which makes it fun to use. For example, the Ultra Macro feature. All things considered, we first wanted to give the point to the iPhone, but decided to call it a draw, since the Oppo also scored with its slow motion feature. Performance. The iPhone 12 Pro Max is equipped with Apple's A14 Bionic chip. The phone has 6GB RAM and the individual models offer different storage capacities. 128, 256 and 512GB are available. Storage capacity unfortunately cannot be expanded as it is typically for Apple iPhone devices. So Apple's newest in-house chip plus 3 different storage capacities. Not bad. Next up, the Oppo. The X3 Pro is equipped with Qualcomm's latest chip, the Snapdragon 888. The phone has 12GB RAM and a storage capacity of 256GB. The storage capacity unfortunately cannot be expanded. Apple's newest in-house chip, the A14 Bionic, versus Qualcomm's Snapdragon 888. Who's going to perform better? Let's take them into the Antutu benchmark and the Geekbench 5 test and find out. The tests are divided into 3 phases. A performance test of the RAM, a test of how the device is handling 2-dimensional graphics, and an endurance test of how the device is handling 3D graphics. The second test is from Geekbench. This app will measure the performance of our smartphones in terms of CPU and GPU. Okay, so the iPhone did really well in the Geekbench single and multi-core test, beating the Oppo in both categories. The Find X3 Pro, on the other hand, was able to outperform the iPhone in the Antutu benchmark test. Of course, as always, keep in mind that these are 2 different operating systems, and the Antutu has different measurements for both. So comparing the 2 is a bit difficult here. But since the test results of the Oppo is so high, this category ends in a draw. Design. The iPhone 12 Pro Max has a glossy stainless steel frame and a matte glass finish on the back. Typically for Apple, it has a very high-end look and feel to it. The triple cameras are well positioned on the upper left corner on the back of the phone. The smartphone weighs 228 grams. It's roughly 16 cm long, 7.81 cm wide and 0.74 cm deep. It uses Apple's Lightning connector and is IP68 rated, so it's water and dust resistant. And it is supposed to be 4 times more drop resistant than previous models. The iPhone uses face recognition technology to unlock the phone. The Face ID as usual works perfect at daylight and also good in a weak light environment. So, Apple continues its tradition of bringing high-end phones to the market. Up next, the Oppo. The Oppo Find X3 Pro has an aluminum frame and a glass finish on the back. This version has a shiny metallic finish, but there's also a matte blue one available. It features a very futuristic design with a triangular lens camera bump in the upper left corner on the back of the phone. The smartphone weighs 193 grams. It features an USB-C connector and is IP68 rated. That means that it is water and dust resistant. The phone also uses face recognition technology and a fingerprint sensor to unlock the phone. Both technologies work great. As a special feature for sound enthusiasts, the X3 Pro's alarms and ringtones are custom designed by famous producer Hans Zimmer. The first thing that sprang to my mind when I started to compare these 2 phones was: this is a battle of tradition versus innovation. While the only significant difference between the iPhone 11 and 12 is that its side parts are now flat instead of round, the Find X3 Pro looks like a completely different phone compared to its predecessor. Its camera bump is especially a treat for every design enthusiast and, according to Oppo, also for science fiction fans. The mirror-like finish also fits the motto really well, and overall the material feels and looks very valuable. On the contrary, it is a true fingerprint magnet. Overall, the mirror finish is not 100% our taste, and we also are not sure what to think about the camera. Maybe you just need to get used to it. The iPhone, on the other hand, kept its traditional values of a clean and elegant design with minimal changes. Although the framed lenses are a very nice touch, the camera bump certainly is nothing spectacular, but this is not Apple's goal at all. In sports, you would say never change a winning team. Other words, what works, works. And it certainly does, as the phone looks and feels very valuable from all sides. All things considered, the iPhone is just a superior phone in our opinion, and gets a point in this category. As you already know, design is the most subjective topic when it comes to phones. So please tell us in the comments below what you think. Tradition or innovation? Battery. The Oppo Find X3 Pro when fully charged has 4500 mAh. On the other hand, the iPhone when fully charged has around 3687 mAh. Both phones support fast wireless charging, but only the Oppo offers reverse wireless charging. The Find X3 Pro has the bigger battery and should therefore last longer. Let's take a look if that's true. Alright, so this was pretty one-sided, as the iPhone was able to last roughly 2 times longer than its counterpart. Of course, the Oppo has better charging capabilities, but endurance is still the key, and the difference is so large that there can only be one winner here: the iPhone 12 Pro Max. If you want to see the full battery test, click here. Conclusion. Here we are again, going back through all the categories to count the points, to ultimately be able to define the winner of this comparison video. As always, we started with the display category. Here the Oppo clearly had the better arguments and took home the point. Performance-wise, it was really difficult again to compare 2 different operating systems. In the end, we decided that both deserve a point. In terms of the camera system, Oppo did a decent job. But the iPhone was performing really good. But we still decided to call it a draw. Then began the battle of tradition against innovation in the design category. As always, such a tricky subject. Eventually the iPhone got the point. But never forget, this is just our opinion. Our final category, battery life. This time was very one-sided, as the iPhone lasted almost twice as long as its competitor and easily got the point. Summing everything up, we have 4 points for the iPhone and 3 points for the Oppo. So, the deserved winner of this comparison video is the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Naturally, we review more than these 5 categories covered here. If you want to see the full comparison, follow the link to our website. You can compare up to 7 different smartphones at versus.com. But before you do that, please post your comments and let us know which phone you think ranks first. If you liked our video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Till then, take care and see you soon.